Hey Pioneers, I have been keeping a secret for over a year. Now, a lot of us who are interested in homesteading like to dream about, think about what it would be like to actually go back to the 1800s and live without social media, without our modern conveniences. But it's another thing entirely for us to actually do that. So last year, I was approached by a production company that was doing a homesteading social experiment where they were taking families who had no homesteading or farming backgrounds and putting them in a scenario just like it was the 1880s, meaning they were out from civilization, no cell phones, no electricity, outhouses, no running water. And they were like that for over 2 months, completely living like it was the 1880s and filming it as a show. I was super excited to be involved, and I got to fly up and be on the show 5 different times. And it was absolutely fascinating. I'm really excited for today's episode because I am going to be sitting down with one of the contestants, Stacey Loper, and we are going to talk about all about her experience with the show, what it's like now a year later. And the show is a brand new TV series called Back to the Frontier. It's releasing the first episode on July 10th. And I have not even got to see it yet. So I'm really excited to see everything, what makes it into the episodes, what doesn't. And as they release, I can't wait to hear your guys' feedback from those of you who end up watching it as well. I had the honor of getting to offer advice as filming began and throughout the episodes. And let me tell you, it was a whole different thing when you are actually living like it's in the 1880s for an extended period of time. Especially that, we've went without power for 14 days has been the longest that we've been without power and some of those modern conveniences. However, this was where they went off site. They were not anywhere near their own homes. And the only interactions that they had were with, of course, the film crew, myself and the historian, and then the other families that were in the show. So it's not like cameras shut off and, they went back to a hotel in the city or anything like that. They were completely isolated from modern society for the filming of its entirety. And it was very, very interesting. I know I keep sharing that, but I'm super excited and I can't wait to share everything with you guys, including behind the scenes. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, put in the comments below, or if you want to leave a review, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, or if you're on the website. I would love to know if you would like to hear more behind the scenes as the episodes come out, commentaries, that type of thing. Let me know. And then we can do some follow-up episodes on this as well. So if you've ever wondered what it was like to live like a pioneer, or if you faced hard seasons on your own homestead, I think Stacey's story is going to encourage you in the best way. And I have to say, some of the things she shared really took me by surprise and were not what I was expecting to hear. But I know you are going to be incredibly blessed by listening to them. Well, Stacey, welcome to the Pioneering Today podcast. I'm so excited. I feel like we've been waiting forever to have this chat.
We have, because I have been anticipating chatting with you after our experience.
Yeah, same. It's funny because being on the set of the Back to the Frontier, which we got lots of tea to spill and talk about, but I really felt a kinship with you, even though I feel like we didn't really get to have a ton of interaction aside from what was on camera, obviously, which was some. But I really felt drawn to you and your energy. And so I've been so excited to get to talk to you because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to connect with you more. But you and your family, everybody in your family was so friendly. You guys, I felt like you guys just have fun. Like it felt fun. Like I'm like, I want to go kick it at the Loper cabin. They are having fun.
And that's what we're all about. We're all about having a good time. Like it doesn't take a lot to just laugh and enjoy the company that you keep. So that's just what we do all the time. But the sentiments are, as you spoke, like, I just really wanted to get to know you, get to know like what you have done. And through this experience, how can I take this and truly just hone in on what's necessary for me to survive in this lifestyle that I had the opportunity to just kind of leave the Martin life and come over here to the 1880s.
So let's back the train up just a little bit. So my understanding was like beforehand, kind of when I was contacted to come on the show, I didn't get any background about any of the families. And I think it was because obviously they wanted to be able to capture emotion and to capture people's, reactions and stuff in real time. So I did get a picture when I got on set for first day of filming before I met you guys. I did get a picture of everybody with their names, but that was it. So give me a little bit. Did you have any like homesteading or farming or any type of that background at all before coming onto the show?
I personally did not have any homesteading, no farming. I'm a city girl through and through. So this was a cultural shock for me. However, my mother-in-law, whom you met, and my husband, they have the farming experience. They were reared in the country. My mother-in-law just had all of this experience, and I'm like, oh, okay, we shall see how this pans out. But me, absolutely zero.
Okay, so was it like, how did you prep yourself before going into it? Because obviously you guys knew we're, replicating this time period. There's not any electricity. You're not going to have, the amenities of running water, refrigerate, like any of those things. So one, how did you prep yourself? And two, was it what you expected once you were immersed in it?
Okay. So one, did I prep myself? Absolutely not. And I'm going to be honest, like my husband and my mother-in-law tried to tell me, like, Stacey, I think you're living in a fantasy world. Like, you're really going back to the 1880s. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You guys talk about these outhouses. You talk about the living situation and everything. And I just don't think that's really what we're going to. I'm going to be honest with you, Melissa. I had no clue that's really what I was stepping into. So I did kind of psych myself out of the reality that my husband and my mother-in-law was trying to tell me about. And even the producers, like, they were very open and honest that, we're taking you back into the 1880s. This is going to be a real experience. I just couldn't wrap my head around that really being the case. Like, we weren't going to have electricity. There was going to be no running water. There was going to be nothing but a well that we had to get our water from. We have to clean it. We have to do all of that. Like, I really and truly was cultural and shell shocked when I arrived and saw that I was really stepping into the 1880s. So I did nothing to really prepare myself for it. I just kind of let my mind just go and not go there. And what was the second question?
Yeah. So when you actually got on set, like, and started, not just your first initial reaction, like on set, but, like, was into it, was it what you expected or not really?
It was far more than I expected. It took me a minute. I was not ready. I was not. And I had to take some time to wrap my head around that. It was far more than everything my husband was telling me. It was that and that much more.
Did you? So I haven't, at the time that Stacey and I were recording this, we're doing it right before everything launches on July 10th. So I haven't got to see any of the episodes yet. So did you have any moments where you were like, what in the dear Lord have I done?
I actually said that in real time on set, like, what have I gotten my family into? What have I done? Because I don't believe this is what I signed up for. I had to take myself back. Like, I take the viewers on an emotional roller coaster. I think throughout the entire, because I cried more on the set of this show than I have in 10 years.
Oh, no. Oh, bless you. I didn't get to see the tears. I got to see the laughter.
Baby, that was a whole lot of tears. Okay.
Okay. So I'm super curious, knowing that that was coming, like what, because it wasn't just you deciding to do it. Obviously, it was your whole family. So
Mhm.
what was your family's goals, or what was your reason? What was your motivation to agree to this? Because it was a long period of time. Your
Mhm.
whole regular life is put on hold in order to do the show.
I think what really drew us in was when I sat down and had a conversation with my husband, Melissa. He said, I really want our kids to experience like what life was and how to appreciate what life is. And I think that really drew me into it because I wanted to see if there was some gratitude that my kids already had for the life that they live, not necessarily having to go through this experience. And sometimes as parents, we set up a false sense of struggle for our kids so that they can understand that there is struggle out there and life is not going to always be easy because we sometimes as parents make our children feel like life is easy. So we think that this truly set our kids up to understand life is not easy and it never has been. My mother and father have had to work extremely hard to get us to where they are now. So I think that for me, that was the buy-in, is to have our children experience the hard work behind what you see in the present.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, what do you think was if you could pick one thing, like what was probably the hardest thing overall of
Oh, I can pick one, Melissa.
Okay, give me your top three, girl.
Woo, owning a cow, okay? I gotta get up and milk this thing every morning. I have to get up and milk this every morning. Okay. Okay. I don't want to put my hands in places on a cow but that's for another day. Okay. That having to fill a winter pantry so that my family can survive a winter. Oh God, that really took me down and through there. It really did because I didn't know what to do, how to do it, or where to even start. And third, outhouse, a chamber pot. What in the world? I was, listen, yeah, it was so much. It was so much.
That is a lot. And I'll say I have the pantry part and the milk cow, like that I've done. And when we went camping, or my family has, but we call it the homestead. It's when my grandparents came out here from Appalachia in 1940. And that doesn't have indoor plumbing. So it does have an outhouse. But there's a difference when you're doing that for a very short period of time, like a weekend if you're camping or something like that. But for it to be your long term. And I have to say, and all my homesteading stuff, a chamber pot, I'm like, I will pack myself outside before I have to deal with a chamber pot.
Thank you. I'm not doing that. I'm just not. And I didn't. I did not.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, that is one thing I am not wanting to clean. Like, I will just get up in the middle of the night and take myself on out to the outhouse or behind a tree. Amen.
Yeah,
I'm not doing a pot. So,
that's what we're doing. Yeah.
yeah, I feel you. Well, it was interesting because obviously everybody knows who's watching this, right? Like, it was a show. There is a camera crew, on site for the majority of the time. And so for me, it was very interesting because if we were back in the 1800s, I think most folks, except of, probably the very elite, but most people have had some knowledge of, cooking on a wood stove and filling a pantry to some degree, maybe not being, dependent on it as those, out in the frontier were, of course. So it was really interesting because I'm like, oh man, like you guys are getting thrown into a level that I don't even think people in the 1880s had, because they had more of a societal, right? Like knowledge of the things, where you guys were just thrown in, like, I mean, talk about the deep end of the pool.
Girl, let's talk about the deep end of the pool because
let's go there.
When they kept reminding me that this is your job, the gender role is this, and this is this, and I'm like, if you tell me one more time, this is my job and this is my gender role, I promise you, I'm gonna scream or I'm gonna choke somebody. I promise you, I am, because it was different. Like my modern life doesn't consist of me cooking and cleaning and going out to the garden and picking what is for dinner tonight and going out to check on the chickens and milking a cow. Like my life doesn't. But you're telling me that this is what I have to do because now I have gone back to the 1880s and this is what a woman in the 1880s was going to do. It's like you're putting me in a situation to fail. That's how I felt. Okay. I felt like I don't do things that I am not good at. And I wasn't good at those things. And I think that put so much pressure, the anxiety, and I think all of that just weighing on me really caused me to truly break down in so many different instances that I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So therefore, I don't know how it is I can contribute to my family surviving out here when I'm used to a totally different type of surviving in my modern life. And all of that has been taken from me. And now I got to submerge myself into this life of an 1880s woman that I am clearly not, So it was crazy.
I'm like, I don't know at what time this airs as to what episodes will be aired. So I'm trying real hard to not do any spoilers. So what would you say were like your top picks or like your favorite moments or the highlights of going through that journey?
So my highlight of going through the journey was churning butter. Girl, I loved churning butter. Baby, when I learned how to churn butter and look in there and at the end of that churner is a thing of gold is what I call it, because that butter, just producing that butter by my hand, girl, let me tell you, I told Joaquin, you're going to have to buy me a churn. You're going to have to.
Okay, did you get a churn? Have you gotten one?
I didn't. I haven't gotten a churn yet.
Okay, it's still on our bucket list.
Nope.
I'll okay, but not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
And I think another one of my highlights though was seeing my sons thrive out there. And that's just not the life that they're used to, that hard work, these young men getting out there in the field and seeing my kids' resilience, their determination and their drive rise up in them. That does something to a parent. And that makes that parent want to strive to be just as resilient, to be just as determined, and to put forth just as much drive. And that's what that did for me.
Yeah. So after, it's been, you guys have been back home for about a year, a little less at the time of this since the show ended. Yep. So what was re-entry like?
Oh, re-entry was like, can I get my hair done? Can I take a good shower for what? Can I put something on this face, Lord? It was tough seeing the world as it is now, opposed to how I've been living for the last 10 weeks. Being submerged and immersed into that 1880s lifestyle. When you come back into that Western society that we live in, where you have all of these conveniences, it's tough. And there is an appreciation, there's a gratitude that overwhelmed us when we walked back into our modern lives.
Did it feel loud coming back in?
It felt loud. It felt overwhelming. It felt like I don't know where to start. Like, what do I do first? What do I appreciate first? Where do I go from here? Yeah.
And I smile because anytime our power goes out, like the hot shower, that is like, it is amazing what a hot shower can do. Like it can take you from 0 to like, I'm 100 feeling like $1,000,000 and it's just hot water. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. The appreciation. Um, what do you think, like for your overall family, like did they have any like highlights or things that they still talk about now?
Yes, Landon, our 15-year-old, he talks about how the world kind of stood still for him, how he realized that there are a million reasons why he can, not a million reasons why he can't. He says, I'm in a place where all I get to do is create. All I get to do is use my heart, my hands, and my head to be a part of making a living for my family and being a part of a family that thrives. I mean, we talk about that to this day. It's like, what are you going to do with that? And the things that his mind and the places that his mind just takes him to, it just awes me that because of that experience, this is what he gets out of that. For my husband, I think we talk quite often about he was really ready to get back into the modern world because he felt so bad because he wasn't able to do for me in the manner in which he wanted to do for me and help me the way that he does help me at home. And, seeing me in that place of not feeling I was enough or that I was sufficient in what I was doing, I think coming back into our modern life, he was like, he didn't want that experience to take away any of that self-confidence, that self-esteem that I'd already had built up because we went through this and I had to go through some things that I never would have wanted to have walked through. But I appreciate the experience, though. I really do.
Yeah. So do you feel like coming out of it, because it felt, if I'm hearing you right, it felt kind of humbling to you, very humbling, but coming out of that, did you feel like you gained things, like there was the humbling part first and then you were able to gain things as you worked through that?
Yes, very humbled because I learned so much of my history from back then as well, especially from a woman's perspective and how we had no rights. And there were very defined gender roles and how women didn't have a voice and how coming out of that, I understand so much more now, Melissa, why so many women are so prideful about their rights and about their voice being heard. Yet, I think it stifles us as women as well because we come out so proud and so high on this hog of being a woman that we can't thrive with our spouses, or we can't thrive with the men who love us, or with the men who are supposed to love us. It's such a humbling experience. In the whole thing humbled me to the point to where I said, what is it that I can do to leave a footprint along the pathway that has already been established for me? Because I'm not creating this pathway, Melissa. This pathway has been created for me. And it took for me to take a step back to the 1880s so that I could take a step forward into understanding what impact I would leave when I am gone. How will people remember me? Will they remember me as selfish? Will they remember me as very arrogant, materialistic? Will they remember me as that? Or will they remember the footprint that I left on impacting the lives of other people, of building other people, of truly teaching people what it means to love, to have life, and to live it in the moment while you have it in front of you? And how to truly be a part of a family that thrives. Because we have too many families where there's a power struggle between the man and the woman, or the husband and the wife, the male and the female. There's such a power struggle, and it doesn't have to be. How can I help change that? I left the frontier with that in mind. How can I be a change agent in that manner?
That's some deep stuff. I mean, well, no, because it's really interesting, because I think for me, from my perspective, the role that I got to play in coming into it, I was really excited because I obviously believe in, the traditional skills and not letting those get lost, of doing, filling that winter pantry. And a milk cow and knowing how to make butter and cook from scratch and those things and growing your own food. But to your point, the mindset and the bigger picture of what is the legacy that we're going to leave. Because quite honestly, if the only legacy we leave is if somebody knows how to make sourdough bread or not, I mean, that is not I'm going to be real proud of the folks that know how to do sourdough, but in terms of legacy and impact, I think all of us want something deeper than that. And we want to know that we made a difference in people's lives, and that the way that we treat people and the way that we see ourselves, and all of those things, how important they are. And so I find this really interesting because I was like, oh, I wonder if some of the skill sets as far as making butter, for example, right, carried on into your kitchens post. But you're like, no, it was way more than that. Like, it was actually this truly lasting impact of legacy. And even when I asked like what the highlights were, for your husband and your children, I mean, they'll have those because they learned how to do that. But it actually had a much larger and deeper impact, it sounds like, on you guys than just learning some skill sets that, of how to do things per se.
For sure, it did. It was so much more than the making the butter, the chopping the wood every day, the going out in the field and getting our field ready for a harvest. It became so much more than that. Now, when we take that, let's take a step back and say, when it's time to work out in that field, it took teamwork. It took for us to know how to work together. And in that, yes, we will know how to make foods from scratch. We will know how to man a garden. We will know all of these things. I know how to milk a cow now. I know how to care for chickens and all of that. But I would not have been able to fulfill that or to do that without the help of my family. And so how do we combine surviving and knowing what to do and how to do it with loving each other in the midst of that? Because we can get so caught up in surviving and what that looks like and who provides the most when it comes to surviving that we lose any sense of the true meaning at this is my family. These are the people that I have to create community, harmony, peace, and love with so that we can thrive. We do not thrive without each other. So I can be in the kitchen churning butter all day long, and my husband can be extremely upset at me because of something that we might have gone through. He's chopping wood all day and something happens. What have we accomplished if we do not do it together and we thrive in it?
Yeah. Okay. So I have to ask, now that it's been almost that year, has it changed any of like the kitchen or the food stuff at like any of that stuff? Like, are you making biscuits in a cast iron skillet or anything along those lines?
Yes, I am. Girl, I got up one morning and I cooked breakfast, and when they came out for breakfast, I was like, "What's for breakfast?" I said, "Homemade biscuits."
Ooh, go Stacey. Okay, that does make my heart happy. I have to say.
When I tell you I'm in the kitchen more, so the skills that I brought home was being in the kitchen more and learning how to be a wife to my husband. Our gender roles were totally opposite before going to the frontiers. Like, I am very career driven. I'm all about establishing finances for my family and making sure that we are provided for in that manner. My husband does the same, but I am extremely career driven as a woman. Well, on the 1880's frontier, I couldn't be career driven. I'm a wife and a mom. That's all I am. So I take care of the home. I do a lot more of that because prior to the frontier, I didn't cook, I didn't clean, I didn't do any of that. My husband is extremely domestic and he loves doing that. So I didn't have to, but I did bring those skills of making butter, of learning how to make bread, learning how to make desserts. Girl, I have made a pound cake 3 times. Okay. Yes. From scratch. No box included, scratch. Okay.
That makes my heart happy, Stacey, I have to say.
Yes, I do a lot with fruits and vegetables now. Prior to coming to the frontier, vegetables, fruits. I ate fruits. Vegetables were not my thing. Now I am very into it. Into the juicing, making our own cordials. I do all of that. I do all of that, Melissa. All of that.
That's so funny because I remember when we were talking about the fruit actually, and I think I was teasing you, and I'm like, "Girl, you can turn that into some fermented wine." And so when you say you're making cordial, I'm like, "Oh, dang, you did."
Yes, girl. Let me tell you, my mind just goes to places. I was like, I eventually want my own wine line. I want 2 whites and 2 reds. I want a line of butter. Like, girl, I just be thinking outside the box. Like, ooh, I can do this.
Well, I have to say, kind of like bacon, everything tastes better with bacon and butter. So I'm with you there.
Yep.
Yeah. So curious, what do you like? What's next for you guys as a family? Like, do you have any like big goals or big thoughts or things planned?
We do. We have some very big goals that we would like to see accomplished. I think one of the goals that I brought home with me, and I even shared it with people on the production team, is I really would love to write a book. I want to write 2 books concerning my experience as a homesteader, going back to the 1880s, because again, Melissa, I'll take it all, back to not just the actual experience of being able to use my hands to provide for my family by cooking and cleaning and manning a garden and doing all that, but truly learning the history behind what I come from and where I come from, and understanding that there is a true progression of prosperity. And that progression of prosperity doesn't necessarily mean that it's a financial prosperity. It's about heart, head, and hands. And that's how you begin to prosper. And when something is left out of that combination of the 3, then you lack somewhere. But if you have the heart, the hands, and the head, you are successful. And success looks different for everybody. But does it include all 3 of those things? Like, the frontier taught me that. Like, there was no way that I was going to be able to provide for my family if I didn't learn these new skills and put those into my toolbox and utilize them when necessary. So, my heart is to truly write a couple of books pertaining to that and pertaining to women, and again, thriving with the men that love us, and how we can do that and be successful in that. We would love our own TV show, but again, that's thinking real big.
I think we should. I think the more honest we are with people, the better the world will be. Right. So I am curious though, because of the 3 families that were on the show, you guys were the only, like, you had your mother-in-law with you and everyone else was just their partners and kids. And so I know your mother-in-law had experience from being on a farms, but that also is another dynamic into your family as well.
Yeah.
Is mother and daughter-in-law. So, how was that experience with the 2 of you and your dynamic? Like,
we have a great relationship. My mother-in-law and I have always had a great relationship. Just sometimes I can get frustrated with my mother-in-law. I think as anybody could and would get frustrated with their mother-in-law. She has the experience. And I think when I was walking through these experiences for myself, and they became extremely hard for me emotionally, mentally, and physically, it was a more of oh, it's going to be okay. You'll get used to it. Well, how do you know that I'll get used to it? Just because this is a life that you live, I may not be as easy to adapt to this type of lifestyle as you. I'm not sure if I will be able to provide for my family like you feel at home right now. You've had this experience. I think I needed a little more, I needed a little bit more empathy for her to kind of see it on my side of the spectrum as opposed to hers and hers only. But she came with so much knowledge. And because she's lived that experience, she was able to teach me so much, and I was willing to learn. You know, I was willing to learn because I knew she was only going to be there a short period of time. So I needed to intake all of this information, and it was overwhelming. So of course I got frustrated with her sometimes when she would try to tell me this is a cup and this is this. And I'm like, lady, if you don't stop, if you do not stop talking to me like that,
I just need a minute.
like, look, you do it. You do it since you know, you just do it yourself.
Well, and there's the pressure of the cameras too, because there are cameras on you for the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though at least for myself, I should say, you do start to almost tune them out a little bit, but at the same time, it's always in your peripheral and in the back of your mind that there are cameras on me and there are people watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes that can add just a little bit extra stress element. And maybe that's just me, but
I mean, I kind of got used to the cameras like real easy. Like they were almost not there for me. I was really just being me and who I was. So my frustration did show. That stress, that anxiety, it did show, but it also showed that I was still able to love on my family, that I was still able to laugh with them, that I was still able to, say the things that I wanted to say, whether they used them or not. It's like, you the one who got the camera on, not me. I mean, I'm in this situation and you're going to get the real and raw Stacey in this, okay?
Girl, I don't think you can be anything but real and raw. And I mean that as a compliment. I do. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I have to ask, given the opportunity to do it all over again, would you?
No, ma'am, I'm not doing that again. I am not doing it. Melissa, I don't know. My mind and my body, I don't think could take another round of that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And I think it's, at least for me, it's really easy to romanticize the past, right? Like I loved Little House on the Prairie, the books. I didn't even know a TV show existed until later. Like my mom would read me the books when I was a little girl, and I think sometimes it's easy to look at the past and see, all of the great things from that time period.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a reason that the vast majority of society took the modern conveniences as they came along. And those became the norm, because it was a hard life.
It was a hard life.
But also what I feel like I heard you say is there was a lot of good in it too.
Mm-hmm. It was so much good in it. So much good. Like the skills that I feel like I brought back, I don't feel like I would have ever learned had I not had this experience. I think there would have been a lack there for the rest of my life had I not had this experience. And it also would have been a lack of not wanting to know, because I would have been like, I don't need that. I don't need that. But I thank my husband so much, and I love him for saying we need to do this, because when it came across my desk, Melissa, I was like, I don't think this is something I want to do, especially if I got to go back to the 1880s. I don't really want to know what that looks like. So I took it to my husband and I said, I want you to look at this and tell me what you think. And it was sent to me by one of my content managers from social media. And he was like, Stacey, I think this would be great for you and your family to do. And I really wanted to get my family into, more social media, I wanted to get them out there. I wanted them to be kind of the forefront and not me always be at the forefront. And my husband took a look at it. He was like, Stacey, I think we could do this. And my husband always looks at everything as a competition. Like, we can go in and we can win this. And I'm like, it's not a competition, is it? I'm like reading and I'm like, that's not a competition. He's like, no, but we can go in and we can do it. Like, we can show them what the Lopers are made of. I was like, okay, calm down, Tiger. I get it. And he was like, okay, let's shoot for it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And as we were going through the interviews with the producers, he was like, I think this would be a great experience for Max and Landon. Like, I think Maddox and Landon will get a lot out of this. And I think it kind of shifted to them really getting something out of it. And again, allowing my husband. And then when I found out that my mother-in-law could come along, getting them to a place where they get to go back and experience what their life was 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. So how were the boys? Like, were they on board? Because I could see my teens and my kids kind of going back and forth. Were they at the beginning? Were they like,
in the
yeah,
beginning, Maddox and Landon was like, all right, let's do it. I was like, and you know how I convinced them was like, you're gonna be on TV. Like, you know.
we're not going to talk about you don't have your cell phones and you don't have TV, right? Like, none of those things.
You're gonna be on TV. Don't worry about it.
Oh, sweet. So do you think, I'm curious, for the boys, do you think that they would do it again?
Maddox, no. That's the 13-year-old. That's the youngest one. Maddox and I are in full agreement. This is not something that Mommy and Maddox wants to do again. Okay. Joaquin and Landon, for sure. And my Joaquin's mom, my mother-in-law, she would do it again. Me?
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, super, super interesting. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights and how it's impacted your family and all of that. For folks who are listening, obviously, go and watch Back to the Frontier when that launches July 10th of 2025. But where else can people follow along? Oh, and I don't think I actually said in here in the interview for anybody who's listening, what you and your husband do in real life, like what your career and what your life, was like, but well, before and after, obviously the show was just a couple of month time period, but can learn more about what you guys do and your continued journey and that type of thing.
Yeah. So my husband and I are marriage, family, and grief counselors. We've been doing that for over 13 years now, and we love every minute of it. Like, we absolutely love, again, it's about impacting people. And how do we leave our legacy? We've been doing that for 13 years. We have social media outlets on Instagram, which is blended_and_winning. We also, you can follow me on TikTok. I just tell jokes. It is nothing professional on TikTok at all. I tell jokes all day long. And that is that Loper lady on TikTok. The one and only. And on Facebook, I'm Stacey Loper. My husband is Joaquin Loper on Facebook. And on YouTube, we are Joaquin and Stacey Loper.
Yeah. And I guarantee anything that they put out will put a smile on your face. I think that's every encounter I have with you. I'm always laughing or smiling. So thank you for bringing that joy.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure on here talking to you. So good to see you again.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much, Stacey.
Absolutely, Melissa. You take care.
I hope that you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. And I really appreciated how Stacey reminded us that sometimes it's the hard things that refine us the most. And that whether we're living on a modern homestead or trying to get back to the old paths in whatever way we can, there's always room to grow deeper in our faith, our family, and our purpose. And if today's episode encouraged you, would you take just a moment to share it with a friend, maybe someone who's dreaming about homesteading or who just needs a reminder that they can do the hard things? And if you haven't caught Back to the Frontier yet, it is on Max and the Magnolia Network, and I highly recommend it, especially with the perspective that Stacey shared with us today. I'll drop the links to the show and Stacey's work in the show notes below. And as always, thank you for spending part of your day with me. Until next time, blessings and mason jars for now.